Today in our 2014 BMW 3 Series, we're going to be installing our Stealth Hitch.
And this is what our hitch is going to look like when it's installed. As you can see, you don't even know that it's there. It's hidden completely behind the bumper. Located on the bottom is a place to install various attachments. There is your 2-inch receiver. So this is for your bike racks and cargo carriers, but is not designed for towing trailers. If you went with the towing option, you would get a ball mount, and this inserts directly into your Stealth Hitch. You'll also get wiring included with it, so that way you'll have all the necessary lighting for your trailer. So you'll be able to use it with your accessories, with your trailer, basically whatever you need it for. If you order the towing package, you also receive wiring to have all the lighting you need on your trailer. There's a magnetic base that attaches to your wiring that keeps it sucked up out of view on the bottom of your hitch when you're not using it, and easily pulls down when you're ready to use it. This 4-pole flat connector will give you all of your necessary lighting, including your left turn signal, right turn signal, tail lamps, and brake lamps, so you'll be DOT compliant in all states. When you're ready to insert one of your accessories, you'll want to remove the rubber plug from the bottom, the rubber plug from the side, and if it was locked, you would want to use your key and unlock it. Ours is already unlocked. You would then simply take your accessory, whichever you desire, and just push it up into place. Once it snaps in, you can press the lock in. You want to make sure that it's pressed in and locked completely, and you can put the dust cover back over your lock. This accessory here is a 2-inch by 2-inch receiver, and it's designed for all of your rack-mounted accessories. It uses a 5/8" hitch pin and clip. Now, one doesn't come included with the hitch, but you can pick one up here at eTrailer.com. And now I've got some measurements for you to help you when deciding on accessories. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube, it measures about 11 inches. This is important when determining if you need to drop, rise, or raise shank on any of your accessories. And since it is so low, I would recommend a raised shank on your accessories. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, it measures about 1/2 inch. This is important when determining if any of your folding accessories can be placed in the upright storage position without contacting the bumper. To remove your accessory, first you'll unlock it, then you'll twist the knob here until it stops, and your accessory will just drop right out. The knob will also stay in that fully turned position to make it easy to insert your next accessory. And when you're ready to hook up your trailer, you'll want to insert your ball mount. Located on your cross tube itself, you'll find your safety chain loops, and there's a nice big opening there, so you should be able to accommodate just about every size safety chain. A 2-inch ball comes included with our hitch and is rated for 6,000 pounds. The ball mount itself has a raised shank to help it fit on your more average trailer sizes. Our ball sits about 18.5 inches off the ground.
We'll begin our installation at the back of the vehicle with the trunk open. We need to remove both the passenger and driver's side tail light assemblies. There's a plastic cover that we're going to need to remove. There's a small pin here that we'll use our flat-bladed screwdriver to unthread. And this will allow us to remove our cover. Exposing the bolts that we need to remove below. We'll then use our 10mm socket to remove the hardware. We also need to remove the 1 bolt down here. We'll repeat the same process on the other side. We can now pull our taillight rearward to release it. I do recommend using a trim panel tool that's plastic to help pry it towards the rear, as there are some tabs that need to come out of some grommets and they can be a little sticky. We'll now disconnect our wiring. Just push in on the release tab there and pull outward. We'll do that on the other side as well. Next, on the inside of our wheel well, we're going to need to remove 3 bolts using an 8mm socket. Now we can pull our inner fender liner out and just push it back out of the way, exposing the Torx bolt that we'll need to remove right here. We're going to remove this using a T20 Torx socket. We'll repeat that same process on the other side. Next, we'll need to remove all the bolts along the bottom of our fascia. We'll use an 8mm socket for the ones around the sides. and a 10mm socket for the ones towards the center. We can now remove our fascia. You'll want to pull outward to release it. We're going to work it back towards our taillight area here. I'm going to go ahead and release the other side now. You'll want to check for any electrical connectors that may be present. If there are any electrical connectors present, you'll need to disconnect them. If not, you can set it aside where it won't get damaged. Now we'll unclip the plastic portion on our fascia here. To do that, you just want to pull down on the tabs and pull outward. We'll set this aside. Next, we're going to remove our entire bumper beam here on the back. There's bolts located on top and bottom on each side. We use an 18mm socket to remove those. We can now pull our bumper beam off. We're just going to set it down as we're going to be reinstalling it very shortly here. Now place your hitch's cross beam over the studs where we removed our bumper beam. Reinstall your bumper beam over top of it, and then reattach it using the factory hardware. Next, take your brackets and your receiver center section, line those up with the holes in the hitch, and slide your hardware through. On the other side, we'll slide our outer bracket on again and secure it using the lock nuts that come with the kit. We can now tighten down all of our hardware using a 19mm socket and wrench. We can now go back and torque our hardware to the specifications found in our instructions. And then you'll want to torque your receiver as well. If you got the towing package with your Stealth Hitch, you'll need to assemble the ball onto the ball mount. You want to make sure that the ball end is on the same end as the insertion pin into your hitch. And once you've got it inserted through, you put your lock washer, followed by your nut. And then we're going to tighten it down with a 1.5-inch socket. You'll want to torque it to the specifications found in your instructions. The hitch portion is now complete. If you only purchased your hitch, you can go ahead and reassemble your bumpers. We've got the complete combo package, so we're now going to move on to our wiring. To start that, we'll be here on the inside. We need to open up the panel here on our passenger side. This will expose our battery as well as the wiring behind it. We'll then take a 3/8 drill bit and we're going to drill through the grommet located here. We're going to stay just a little bit to the outside to try and avoid hitting the wiring. We can now feed our wiring in and push it through the hole that we just drilled. The wiring we're feeding in is the 4-pole flat end. We're going to keep the end on the outside and feed the rest of the wires in. Now that we've got them inside, we can attach them to our control box. They already have pre-crimped ends on them, so we just need to match those wire colors up, crimp them, and heat shrink them down. We're going to strip back the end of each wire that we routed in, and then we'll connect it to its matching color coming off of our box. We can now shrink down our butt connectors using a heat gun. You'll then need to route your wiring down the back side of your vehicle over towards the center of your hitch. We went ahead and followed the factory wiring using the same clips that holds our factory wiring in to also hold in our hitch wiring. Once you've got your hitch routed down, you can install the magnet onto it and stick it right to the bottom of your hitch.
Now coming out of our grommet here, there's a small harness. You want to go ahead and unwrap that from the sheathing that it has, exposing the wiring. You're going to look for the black and yellow wire, the black and white wire, the gray and purple wire, and the black and gray wire. We've got all those separated out. We'll be using those to make our connections to our control box. So we'll begin making our connections with the quick splices that come in the kit. So we're going to go ahead and start with our yellow wire. So we're going to poke that in one. That goes to the black and white wire. So we'll put our black and white wire in the other side. We've got our yellow and our black and white. Get those lined up in the grooves. And then slide the cover over the top. And we'll be using a pair of channel locks to squeeze that together. We then proceeded to connect the green to the black and gray, the brown to the gray and violet, and the red to the black and yellow. Now we'll move on to our power and ground connection. For our ground, we're going to crimp on the open ring terminal to the white wire. On our black wire, we're going to connect the fuse harness to the yellow butt connector that's pre-attached. We'll now attach our ground wire. Now you could put it on your battery negative post, but we're going to put ours here on this bracket. We're going to use a 10mm socket to loosen the bolt. We'll then take our white wire, we're going to slip its terminal behind the bolt, and then just reinstall the bolt. Now for our power wire, we're going to flip the red cover up on the battery positive terminal. We're going to disconnect the nut here with a 10mm socket. We'll slide our ring terminal from the black wire in our fuse harness over top the stud there, and then reinstall our nut. We can now take the double-sided tape that comes with our kit, stick it onto our module, we can then take our module, peel back the other side of that adhesive backing, and stick it back behind our battery. We can now zip tie up our wiring and then reinstall all the components that we took off to access it. We can now reinstall our fascia. So we'll line that back up with how we took it off. If you had any electrical connectors on your bumper, make sure you plug those back in when you're going back together. Now you want to plug it into your trailer or a tester like the one that we have here, which you can pick up at eTrailer.com, and verify everything's working. You want to make sure you have your left turn signal, right turn signal, tail lamps, and brake lamps. And with everything working properly, we're ready to hit the road.
And that completes the installation of our Stealth Hitch on our 2014 BMW 3 Series.